And we back again. Here we go with Kamala.
Coppola.
And as you can see at the bottom of the screen, what does Black News Network have at the bottom of the screen? They celebrating Pride Month?
Yeah, they are.
I told you this channel won't shit. I told you this channel won't shit. But anyway, we're going to get back to Black News Network, but
Channel.
Let's start with Kamala.
So she got a lot of backfire for her speech. I don't even know what country it was in, Guatemala or something.
I believe so.
It was in one of those South American countries, and she told them not to come. Don't come. And this whole interview, they try to flip her words and try to say she didn't mean what she said and all this other stuff.
She kind of knew what she was doing with the wordplay.
I believe she's trying to grab the moderate audience for her run in 2024, honestly.
Well, yeah, that's what she's trying to do now.
Yeah, so a lot of the black people who supported her, which is a very small portion, by the way. Most people didn't fuck with Kamala. The poll number showed they didn't fuck with her. That's why they dropped. That's why she dropped out of the primary. She ran out of money because niggas wasn't dealing with her.
Wasn't she like the first one to drop out?
She was the first person to drop out. That's why I'm laughing at these people saying Kamala the black support. She has none.
She had no black support.
But in this interview, they try to clean up what she said down there and try to paint a narrative that the reason why she's being criticized is because she's a quote unquote black woman.
Which is how they always flip it.
Always. So let's go ahead and get into it.
We were talking about Kamala Harris, her role presiding over the Senate, and her really creating more of an identity for herself. And we were introducing the great Roxanne Jones, the CEO of Push Marketing Group, political commentator, former longtime executive at ESPN, where I know her very well, and my dear friend. Welcome to BNC. Welcome to Start Your Day. And I don't know about you, Roxanne, but just seeing Kamala presiding over the Senate, coming out and speaking and being in that position still gives me a sense of pride. As a black woman, does that still do it for you?
Absolutely. It gives me a big sense of pride, but also a fierce sense of I need to protect her. Like, don't come for her. You're coming for all of us.
Wait, so you're not allowed to criticize her? Wait. So if you say or criticize Kamala for all the bullshit she do, you're coming for all, I guess in the way she phrased that, all black women.
But Kamala Harris has done nothing to protect black people or black women.
We saw her record in California and what she really about.
It was terrible. she was locking y'all black asses up.
Yeah, we'll get to
particular.
that. We'll get to that.
And you wrote an op-ed and you basically talked about how she's coming into her own. When you say that, how do you mean that? What do you mean by that?
Well, I think that as we've watched Kamala during the presidential campaign, both as a candidate for the U.S. presidency and the VP campaign, and even way back during the Senate hearings, I think on the campaign, she was obviously nervous, understandably nervous, and held back a lot of just authentic speech and how she felt on issues. And as she's now settling into the White House, I don't see her doing that as much.
What does she mean? From day one, she's saying the same thing she said. No, you're right. She is not saying the same thing because she flip-flopping on everything she said.
She flip-flopped because she was for Medicaid for all, then she wasn't for Medicaid for all.
Medicare.
But one thing she made clear was she's not doing anything particularly for black people. And she still hasn't done the shit.
So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No. People who are fleeing murder capitals of the world. There are children who are fleeing murder capitals of the world, who have fled, most of them, murder capitals of the world. We have families that are fleeing murder capitals of the world. A mother who pays a coyote. Imagine a mother who makes a decision to pay a coyote. When a mother pays a coyote, often through a caravan with a coyote even, to transport her child through their country of origin, through the entire country of Mexico, of traveling through the entire country of Mexico, to transport her child across the entire country of Mexico, through the entire country of Mexico. It was safer for them to take that trek through Mexico, facing unknown peril, facing unknown peril, facing unknown peril, in what they know could be a perilous journey. We have always presented ourselves as being a nation of strength with strong arms, the strong arms of America. Part of the strength of our nation is supposed to be that we have strong arms. That when people are fleeing harm, we will embrace them. Which will embrace and protect anyone fleeing or facing harm. Should be here to receive anyone who is fleeing harm.
I want to be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border. Do not come. Do not come.
But what does Donald Trump do? But what does this president do? He virtually looks at those children and says, go back to where you came from. Not to flick them away and say, go back to where you came from. And that's the kind of policy we've had from this administration. He says, go back to where you came from. That is not reflective of our America and our values, and it's got to end.
And I believe if you come to our border, you will be turned back. If you come to our border, you will be turned back.
So she's been authentic with niggas all this time, but the whole thing with this is it's so confusing. This woman had no support, and they just act like that didn't exist.
You know, I see her speaking her truth. If you look at immigration, and she just said, look, don't come. America is messed up, don't come. She kind of said it in those words, and that's how we all talk to one another.
That's not true. Her exact words were not, no, it's messed up. She said, don't come. We're going to enforce our laws to protect our border. Here's a clip right here.
I want to be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border. Do not come. Do not come. The United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our border. There are legal methods by which migration can and should occur. But we, as one of our priorities, will discourage illegal migration. And I believe if you come to our border, you will be turned back.
I mean, and then it's funny because the contrast to how they react to this versus when Trump said it, which is right here.
Have a solution. Tell people not to come to our country illegally. That's the solution. Don't come to our country illegally. Come like other people do. Come legally. Mr. President. I'm saying this very simply. We have laws, we have borders. Don't come to our country illegally. It's not a good thing.
It's the same thing. They said the same thing.
Well, I told you how she got her escape. She said, I believe if you come here, you will be turned back.
But the point is, she said we're going to enforce our laws to protect our border.
But
she said,
that word she used, believe.
She said there's a legal way to do it.
Yeah.
This is the same thing Trump said. And regardless of your politics on immigration, they said the same thing. How is one bad and the other is differently? Well, I guess the only people who are actually defending her are the buffer class of these elitist black people trying to protect her because
which is where we're at now.
Yeah, they get social capital or social political capital from her being in office. They think this is going to lead them to have more jobs inside of the government.
And it's not as Simone Sanders.
Simone Sanders didn't even get the House Speaker job that she wanted.
She worked for Kamala. She didn't even work for Biden. She wasn't even on Kamala's team.
She's a no holds barred. Like, I'm fighting this fight. She just said in your clip, the fight is not over. She's a fighter, and I want to see her be a fighter, as Black women have been since we arrived here. So I respect it.
The constant separation is so cringy. It's insane. These politics they playing is so nasty, man.
No longer black people.
It's black
separated
classes. It's
black woman.
and I do believe that her message, her context was misconstrued. She wasn't basically saying, don't come here, we don't want you here. She was basically saying, hey, it's not safe for you to come at this time. But she did receive criticism, and not only from Republicans or people in the white community, but AOC came out against her and said things like that. So do you think the message would have been taken in a different way had it come out of the mouth of, say, a white man?
Trump is a white man who said it and got the same backlash. I don't get it. How? Okay, so now what they're going to constantly do is say, anytime you criticize her, would you do that to a Caucasian man? They're going to keep doing this. This is not going to bode well for her running in 2024. This is just terrible.
Kamala Harris is not going to get into office.
Well, she will when Biden steps down.
When Biden steps down, she will.
Oh, absolutely. And I also think that it's not strange for a Black woman to receive criticism from a Latina woman, right? Like, we have some things that we need to, some cultural barriers in how we communicate and how we see immigration that sometimes sound like we're really far apart, but we just don't talk about it.
No, you don't. Latino people are for Latino people.
Yeah.
And y'all have a misunderstanding about that.
Because they look at it as immigration is our problem.
That's not your problem.
Even though we know there are some Haitians and stuff that get caught up
But
in the
they
mix.
see them as a separate entity from
Exactly.
African Americans.
So they look at y'all and say, if you're against immigration, you're against Latinos or
because
Mexicans.
we, as we stated in our other videos, when you go to the Hispanic caucus, they are for Hispanic people.
Exactly.
But when you go to the Black caucus, they're inclusive to
People of
everybody.
color. And Kamala,
that people of color shit.
Kamala Harris, they say, are we beginning to see the real Kamala Harris? We saw before she ran, when she announced it, when all the shit started coming out, she purposefully kept people in prison under the courts asked her to reduce the amount of inmates in prison to lower the population. The people around her and her lawyers, they defended keeping those people in prison. There was a man named Cooper who was in prison for a quadruple murder, and there was evidence that he was innocent, and they blocked DNA evidence had been used to completely let him be innocent, exonerated until after the fact. And then she said, I felt bad about what happened. This woman is wicked. Look what she did to the man. Look, there's this list I found of this woman who gave 8 reasons why Black people shouldn't vote for her. This is before the election. She said that people were saying it before. We should not vote for this woman. She's called herself a top cop. Isn't it amazing with niggas who claim they're against cops? I'm talking about the ones who say they're against cops. But then you vote for a woman who literally called herself top cop. The woman who arrested people for marijuana usage, then laughed about it on the Breakfast Club and said how she should smoke weed.
Yeah, she's smoking weed while listening to Tupac.
Yeah, and people clown her ass for that.
Just like she was being bused to school when at a time where it wasn't.
Damn. The woman's a liar. People know she fake.
Anchoring herself to
Blackness.
American descendants of slavery.
And
that's
then
what she's been doing.
When she got in office, she anchored herself to Asian. Now she's the first Asian.
That's what I'm saying. With the white people confused. Niggas is too. Are you, or when you could be Asian, want to be Asian. You could be Black when you want to be Black.
You could be an immigrant. You could be a first generation American. You want, it's like,
what are you, Kamala?
You know, her dad don't even fuck with her no more because his comment she's made. And her dad said, as Judge Joe Brown pointed out, that they actually have Indian heritage. He's not just Jamaican, Black. He has Indian heritage.
Let me tell you something.
This is an Indian woman with some Jamaican in her. Somebody said she's probably like 25% Black. And people smelt the bullshit all the way back in 2 years ago in November. When she dropped out, people was like, she fake. She had the fake charisma. She tried to be Obama all the time. It doesn't work.
I think the whole ADOS thing, it really opened your eyes. Because before it was just, you Black, everybody Black. But when you start breaking down lineage and culture and where you come from, you'd be surprised when you look up who these artists are. You trace their lineage back, and it's not to the Americas.
Yeah. So We already knew who the real Kamala Harris is. That's why she dropped out.
But I thought just when they said the story, I was like, oh, they about to get on her ass. No, defending like this channel is supposed to do.
Yeah, they're not gonna turn on her because they're using her for political. They're trying to use her to get into a certain status, the elites.
Every time a person get in trouble, Black News Network gonna be here to defend them.
Yeah. And
niggas be tearing their ass up in the comment section too.
On a secondary note, somebody else was exposed today with Shaun King, Samaria Rice. We did a video on her a little while ago, her calling out Black Lives Matter, how to use her son's death for money, and saying how she didn't even give a lot of them permission to do a lot of things they did. But she now attacking or exposing Shaun King on his podcast. He had a segment on her where he spoke about a conversation they had between each other that she said she didn't give him permission to release that. And this is her response to his now deleted episode. Shaun King, why do you think it's so important to tell folks we had a conversation? Well, we talked and everything that was said was very toxic and uncomfortable for me to hear that you raise additional money and then say you do not want to bother me. Personally, I don't understand how you sleep at night. I never gave you permission to raise nothing. Along with the United States, you robbed me from the death of my son. You gave me a cop in a donut conversation. All lies, Shaun. Please stop thinking we are on the same page. As a white man acting black, you are an imposter that cannot be trusted. My son was 12 years old and DOJ needs to reopen his case, period. Samaria human rights was violated. Why would you so ever make it about you? You are selfish. You are a self-centered person, and God will deal with you, white man.
But another imposter. Kamala Harris is an imposter. He's an imposter.
Listen, and something I found strange was I saw somebody say something like, "Unfollow Shaun King. That takes away his power." And you go, there are people in this world that truly think how many followers you have makes you more powerful. They truly believe that if you have, 100,000, 200, 1 million followers across social media, you have more power. When in reality, you just got followers across social media.
Stop giving him money. The donation.
You see, they don't want to talk about the money being given. They want to talk about unfollow people because they understand a lot of these quote unquote foundations, civil rights foundations, and all these alleged groups created to help black people, really just pyramid schemes. They're really just scams to get money, and these people get the money and bounce out. Look at Black Lives Matter. How do you, the leader of an organization like that, get some pressure on you and immediately just bounce? Like, who's the leader of that foundation? Who's the leader of Black Lives Matter now? How do you just lead to something you said was your life's work?
Not being held accountable for anything.
It's crazy. And just walk away like nothing happened.
But they've done their job.
Well, yeah. I told you, we saw in 2020 the death of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor was used for political capital. They admitted it in a New York Times article when they admitted it. Yeah, we turned this political and convinced people that if you vote a certain way, these type of things won't happen no more. That's what they said. They admitted this. They made it political. It was a social movement, not a political movement. They made it political. And they done with you now. Black Lives Matter raised the most money it's ever had. It exploded across the world at that point.
International.
It went international. And then they got their money and they bounced. This is what they always do. None of these foundations, none of these groups are ever righteous. They always use black people to gain and then leave them out to dry.
Fall for the banana.
And then they give you a holiday. I'm sorry, a holiday you already have. They just make it a national holiday so other people can then make money off of it. Because next Juneteenth, you're going to see commercials from all over the place, from all kind of car dealerships and
Juneteenth weekend, 50% off, 25% off.
They're going to turn it into a commodity like everything else you do. But maybe one day we'll learn.
But thank Sheila Lee Jackson.
Yeah.
Fighting harder for Juneteenth than she was for HR 40.
These people
the fuck?
People so damn wicked, man. But yeah. Kamala showing her real face. Shaun King exposed. I mean, how many times he don't got exposed? It's like
Shaun King ain't nothing but a Rachel Dolezal, whatever the fuck her name. And the woman's still going around saying she black.
Still. And it's like,
and niggas still hitting it. They still getting it. It's crazy.
but yeah, man, that's that on that. Kamala Harris showing her real face. Black News Channel trying to run interference for her. Keep it clean for her. It won't work for long. Hopefully, by next election, more Negroes are awakened to the bullshit they pull. Hopefully. But I don't know, because niggas like to stay where they at. But anyway, man, yeah, if you got to this point, we appreciate the support. Please like, comment, and subscribe. All praise to the Most High, and peace.